The Dallas Mavericks pulled off one of the biggest trades in franchise history right before the trade deadline. They flipped DeAndre Jordan, Wesley Matthews, Dennis Smith Jr. and 2 first-round picks for Kristaps Porzingis, Tim Hardaway Jr. and Courtney Lee. This trade is up there with that trade for Luka Doncic and the trade for Dirk Nowitzki, and it is a swing for the fences kind of trade. The Mavericks were already decently positioned to build a strong team around Luka this offseason with that cap space, but they traded this space and 2 first-round picks for one of the most interesting young players in the entire NBA. This video will take a look at whether that was a smart decision, how Luka and Porzingis will match together, and what the future of the Mavericks roster looks like. And let's start with analysing the value and outcome of the trade. And you have to begin with the fact that the Mavericks got the best player by far. They got Kristaps Porzingis. Knicks fans had been waiting the entire year for their unicorn savior to return to the franchise from injury and dominate the NBA again. He is 7'3", can handle the ball, post up and snipe threes, pull up jumpers and basically any shot on the court. He has the potential to be a generational offensive talent, and even if he doesn't reach that ceiling, he will still be an incredibly positive player. To go on top of this, he is also an incredible rim protector on the defensive end. Over his career, he has averaged 2 blocks a game, and in his All-Star season, he was blocking 2.4 shots a game. He uses his incredibly long arms and frame to create a wall between the rim and any driving player. This makes up for him not being the strongest, biggest body, because these guys usually get pushed around in the paint. But Porzingis is so long and has such quick lateral movement that he can get into and stay in position against most scorers in the league. He tends to struggle a little when guarding guys on the perimeter, but he is 7'3" for Christ's sakes. He can't be expected to do everything. So what the Mavericks got was a generational talent, a player who could potentially become one of the top 10 guys in the entire league in the future. Usually when a team acquires this guy in the trade, they win. Hands down. Look at Boston with Kyrie Irving, Houston with James Harden, and many other variants of young stars being traded. While sometimes the team giving them up will get a decent return, NBA teams are built on stars, and giving one up always hurts. However, this time there is a catch for Dallas with KP. There have been a lot of rumours surrounding his upcoming restricted free agency. Apparently, Porzingis threatened the Knicks with the idea that he might sign a 1-year qualifying offer instead of the max. This was likely a huge factor in the Knicks deciding to trade him, as it would allow him to leave the franchise just 1 year later in unrestricted free agency. This was one of the first times I've really heard of a player of this caliber doing this. The Knicks were likely planning on matching a max offer to KP or giving him his own max from them for 5 years. This is stock standard for star rookies, and we've seen guys like Embiid, Booker, Towns, Giannis, and many other young stars sign these contracts. It locks them into that original team for another 4 years, but it is a huge amount of guaranteed money. Plus, the difference between the first year salary and the qualifying offer is huge, and this money is difficult to make up in later years. And even though guys like Porzingis have already earned enough money for life, it is difficult to say no to an extra 15 to 20 million in just 1 year. So it is rare for a young guy to say no to these max deals. But it is even rarer for a guy coming off of injury with a checkered injury history to say no. There is no guarantee that Porzingis will return as the exact same player. I do have confidence that he will, but again, it cannot be guaranteed. For this reason, he would almost be insane to turn down the max. What if he never returns to his best and doesn't get a max offer in the future? A similar thing happened to Nerlens Noel, who is undoubtedly less talented, but it still cost him a lot of money. For this reason, I somewhat doubted that he would turn down the max from the Knicks, but they seemed convinced enough to trade him and the problem transferred to Dallas. There is still a tiny possibility that KP wants to take the future into his own hands and get to unrestricted free agency as quickly as possible. If he does, then the Mavericks will have given up Dennis Smith Jr. and 2 first-round picks for a quick rental of a young, rehabilitating player. The entire deal relies on KP not taking the qualifying offer and instead signing a 5-year deal with Dallas. This would give the Mavericks a core of Luka and KP, which is one of the most exciting young duos in the league. And this is why the trade was a big win in my eyes. I think he will cave and sign the big deal. The money is too much to pass up, and KP himself has said that he gets along with Luka very well. Plus, the player that KP reminds many of plays in Dallas, Dirk Nowitzki. The original European 7-foot sniper still has a big role to play for his one professional organisation. He can help to convince the young Latvian that Dallas is a well-run franchise that will look after him in the long term. Plus, he can pass on a few shooting tips as well. And so while I think the trade was good for Dallas, I also think it was good for the Knicks. They cleared a heap of cap space by giving up Hardaway and Lee's contracts, and got a great young prospect in Dennis Smith Jr. They also netted themselves 2 first-round picks. Dallas will hope that these picks are in the late first round, but there is always a chance that injuries strike or the young team struggles, and in these scenarios, New York will benefit greatly. For New York, they had their hopes pinned on Kevin Knox, Mitchell Robinson, Frank Ntilikina, DSJ, and striking big in free agency. But while the Knicks are hoping to land big players, Dallas now have them. They have their foundational future in Luka and KP, and they'll set about trying to build a contender around them. KP and Luka are almost perfect fits on the court next to each other. Some of the greatest pairings of star talents have been guards and big men. Shaq and Kobe, Magic and Kareem, Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid, and many more have shown that this combination works a treat. When you have 2 stars who play the same position, you can get a lot of crossover and end up with diminishing returns from both skill sets. And this has become more prevalent in the pick and roll dominated NBA. The pick and roll makes up the majority of offensive sets, and it utilizes the best big and best guard on the team. When you have another star guard, they become relegated to the wing, waiting for the secondary action or their own opportunity to run the play. Now this is obviously simplifying things a little bit, as it is still great for teams to have 2 great guards who can give each other a breather. But having a star big and a star guard to build around allows you to better navigate this problem. Luka will be able to run pick and roll with Kristaps and extract the most out of the 2 stars every possession, and their skill sets are very suited to the pick and roll. KP is able to dive to the rim as well as fade to the 3-point line. In his first season without Carmelo in New York, the Knicks used him a lot in these sets. They didn't have the best point guards to find him in good positions, but he still managed to snipe threes and slam home dunks from these plays. Now imagine him with the passing and basketball IQ that Luka has. He will find himself in positions and the scoring will come that little bit easier for him. And KP will do the exact same thing for Luka. This season he has primarily run the pick and roll with DeAndre Jordan before he was traded. Jordan sets great screens, but he doesn't have the versatility to really challenge defenses. Jordan's defender can simply drop back and fill the lane to prevent Jordan from getting a lob and to stop Luka's penetration. But now defenders cannot simply drop back on Porzingis. They'll have to stick with him through the screens and won't be able to double Luka. Then Luka's defender basically has to come over the screen in order to try and prevent Luka from shooting the 3 off of the dribble. This allows him to trap that player behind him and get into the lane. And now with Porzingis opening up the lane by fading to the 3-point line, it'll be wide open for Luka. This will force teams over to slide over and help to stop Luka from driving. And when they do, Dončić will be able to hit players for open threes and secondary actions. And this is what the Mavericks will need to do to turn this team into a strong playoff contender. If these 2 guys are surrounded by good shooting wings who can also defend, they'll be incredibly tough to stop. The Mavs already had a few of these in Barnes, Hardaway, and Courtney Lee, but these guys are either old, overpaid, or likely not part of the long-term future. So the Mavericks traded Harrison Barnes for Justin Jackson and salary cap relief for this coming season. Jackson is a decent young wing who could develop, but I think the move was mainly made for cap purposes. The Mavericks will have about 18 to 23 million in cap space after signing Porzingis to a max contract. They will have $31 million tied up in the contracts of Lee and Hardaway, and Barnes would have been an extra $25 million, giving them no flexibility or ability to sign players this summer. Now they will have the capacity to make more trades and to sign some players this coming season. I think they will try and find a suitor for Lee and Hardaway and look to sign players for the long term around Dončić and Porzingis. They already have Jalen Brunson, who I really like as a good point guard to put next to Luka, and they'll be hoping that both he and Jackson develop. But apart from those two and their stars, they can have a clean slate in free agency in 2020 if they can get rid of Hardaway Jr. If they manage this and don't sign long-term deals this summer outside of Porzingis, they could have almost $60 million in cap space to play with. This would allow them to put another max player next to their two young stars, or simply kit the roster out with good, solid role players. They also could just keep Hardaway and hope that he plays better under Rick Carlisle's coaching than he did in New York. Taking the ball out of his hands and putting it in Luka's hands will probably help the efficiency of his game. He won't be able to just jack up shots, and if the offense can have him in more of an off-ball role in a similar way to Klay Thompson, he could develop into more of a positive player. I personally don't see this happening and think that Dallas should try and move on. But the important thing for Dallas is that they have a ton of options. They can trade for more cap space this season or wait until 2020 to get even more of it. And they will use this to build a team around two young stars. Two young stars who just happen to fit perfectly next to each other. It is for this reason that the trade was an absolute smash with only one big risk: Porzingis leaving or never returning to stardom. But as said before, don't worry too much about that and get ready for the European duo to strike fear into the Western Conference. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more NBA videos in the future. And let me know in the comments what you think of the Luka and KP pairing for Dallas.